Hello, welcome. This is part 8 of my review on the Marvel Ultimate Graphic Novel Collection. Today we'll be reviewing the books that were released as issues 22, 23 and 24. So we start off with Marvel Zombies. This was released as issue 22, and as you can see when you put your thing together it will be number 48. This was one of the books in the collection that I didn't really know that much about coming into this, so I came to it with a totally open mind. Of course, when I saw Robert Kirkman's name on here, I was like, yeah, a zombie book by Robert Kirkman. Surely this can't go wrong. Zombies are something that I really enjoy, zombie films, and it's interesting over the years how has changed. How originally the word zombie meant people that were slow-witted, and then a number of films made. The first zombie film made was White Zombie. And in all those early films, they were usually either people that were being controlled, were in this trance and were being controlled, and they became like mindless, automatons, or they were reanimated corpses that would basically do the bidding of whoever brought them back. And then when Night of the Living Dead came out by George Romero, he totally revitalized what it was to be a zombie movie. That now what we know today as zombies was started then by him, and ever since everybody, even Robert Kirkman, you watch one of the Romero's Dead movies and you can see a lot of the things that they do in Walking Dead, because like it's set in this world, but it's about all of Romero's films about how these people survive in this zombie world, and that's exactly what Walking Dead is. So I was looking forward to this one with Kirkman writing, and Kirkman does something nice here, that all that evolution of the zombie films and in literature of zombies, and Kirkman does it. It gives it another little twist here, in that our characters here, they are the living dead, but they retain their personalities and their powers, but they have this insatiable hunger. Even though they're dead and they don't need to feed, they've just got this insatiable hunger that overrides everything else, that they can't think straight while they've got this hunger, so they have to feed. They feed on living people, and that satisfies their hunger for a bit, and then it will come back. And it's almost like like a drug addict. When they need their drugs, they'll do anything to get it, to get that fix. And it's very much here the same with our characters here, except they need to eat people. So yeah, so I started it off. We have a nice recap page, story so far page. Really, it does a good job in this one, as it lets us know that this story sort of continues from an Ultimate Fantastic Four story, where the zombie Fantastic Four try to go through to the Ultimate Universe, and the Fantastic Four with the Magneto from the zombie world to stop them. This story carries on straight where that one leaves off, with Magneto now on the run from our Marvel Zombies, and he gets communication from Asteroid M, and some of his acolytes are still alive, and they're going to come for him. So Magneto then has to try and stay alive long enough to meet up with his acolytes. Meanwhile, we see the zombie Hank Pym has got the Black Panther tied up in a laboratory. Black Panther is still human, and he's been drugged by Hank Pym, and Hank Pym's cutting pieces off him a day at a time to eat, to keep the hunger at bay, so that he can think and come up with plans and schemes, because he can't think straight when he's hungry. So those are our two main threads of story, and then we had the third thread with the acolytes coming back down from Asteroid M looking for Magneto. So you have these three threads of story that are running through it. There's many great twists and turns, and when I put this book down, I was like, wow, I really enjoyed that. The whole story reminds me a lot of Space Punisher, a miniseries that came out last year. It's just an alternate universe romp that is just a whole over the top and a load of fun. Some of the action is a bit gory. At the beginning of the story, Colonel America gets the top of his head chopped off, and so the rest of the story, his brains are all exposed. Because and so that's kind of the thing with this book. So it might not be for everybody, but if you do like zombies, or you like kind of alternate universe kind of stories, this will be one for you. Sean Phillips on the art does a great job, and the colorist as well, Joan Chung, I think her name was. She does a great job as well, because it's kind of got like a dark kind of tone through the whole book, but the way the characters with their bright uniforms sort of stand out works really well, and some of the features like the teeth and the eyes really stand out as well through the colouring. So that the colouring does a good job, but also the art. Phillips does the right blend of like making the characters so that the characters we recognise, but also they're slightly gruesome as well. As always, on our inside we have, I don't know how well you can see that, we have some of our internal artwork. We then have our first bit there. There's the zombie Iron Man. We then have our inside cover there, and you can see all the people who put the book together. It was June Chung who's the colorist on this one. She does a really good job, and Sean Phillips' art is really great as well. We have our introduction and the story so far, that's really good. It really helps you. And then we have all our covers. Each cover seems to be a reimagined classic cover from a Marvel book, like this one's Amazing Fantasy 15, but they reimagine it in the zombie thing. Then we start off with the first page there with Magneto, and then there we go. A fantastic, spread of like, here are our characters that we're going to be following. Magneto and all these characters were now zombie characters, and yeah, I really loved the art in this book. I think it works well. There you see issue 2, and it's got the reimagining of an Avengers cover. But yeah, the whole of this book is just really great. It takes some interesting twists and turns, and some cool stuff happens. Some cool stuff. I'm trying to find, there's a nice scene with our where our Marvel zombies encounter here it is, the super villains. We have this great scene of the Marvel hero zombies and the villains, which was really nice. At the end, the book, I liked the ending. I thought that was really a good end. We have a nice little gallery of all the different reimagined covers. We also have Robert Kirkman, the writer, there, an article on the writer, as well as an article on the artist, and of course, as always, our further reading. All in all, yeah, I really enjoyed this one. One that really surprised me. So I thought everything in this one come together really well. I'm kind of in two minds whether to go and check out the sequels. I don't know if lightning could strike twice, or if they just milk it too much. I think sometimes that happens. I know with Agent Apocalypse, I love the original story, but I think with every time they've tried to bring it back, it's kind of diluted what it was. And I'm kind of wondering, would that the same thing be with this one, Marvel Zombies? So I'm a bit hesitant to read the sequels, but this one is a really fun book, and I give it 5 stars. Next up we have The Incredible Hulk, Planet Hulk Part 1. This was released as issue 23 of the Marvel Graphic Novel Collection. When you put it together with your others, this will be number 45. This was a story that I just love, and I was looking so forward. I don't own it as a trade, so I was really looking forward to getting this one and having it so that I could keep reading it over and over. It is one of my favourite stories, and reading it again here, it was just as great and just as magical as I remembered it was. The basic story is the group of heroes called the Illuminati, who at this time are Mr. Fantastic, Professor Xavier, Iron Man and Doctor Strange, and Black Bolt. They decide Hulk's too dangerous to be left on the Earth, so they trick him into this rocket and launch him into space. Mr. Fantastic has found a planet where there are animals and there's plant life, but there's no intelligent life, so Hulk can live the rest of his days in peace there, where he can be what he's always wanted to be left alone. But things go wrong. Hulk goes off course and goes through this portal and ends up on this planet called Shakhtar, I think it's called. And yeah, Shakhtar, I think it's called, yeah, Shakhtar. Yeah, Shakhtar, Shakhtar. Anywho,
So he ends up on this planet, and he instantly gets captured and he's put in the arena to die, but he manages to survive, and the Emperor, the Red Emperor, who's in charge of this world, is going to give him his freedom, but then he hits this Emperor, making him bleed, which is a big disgrace for somebody to make the Emperor bleed, a big sign of weakness. So the Emperor sends him away to this gladiator school, where that, you know, puts him in the arena and puts him against all these different things, hoping that he'll get killed. But Hulk and his group are a band of characters that are put together. They keep surviving, they keep winning their battles until they have won their freedom. But they become bonded to each other in this kind of like oath. They can become the Warbound, where they have this like link to each other, this like kind of debt to each other. Hulk still just wants to be left alone once they've got their freedom, but he sort of gets dragged into being this revolutionary figure because there's this prophecy, and Hulk's blood can make the plants sort of grow, and there's this whole prophecy about that one will come, that one will come to destroy and one will save them, and they all think Hulk is like going to be this prophecy, the one in this prophecy. So Hulk kind of gets dragged in to lead in this group, and the story takes some interesting turns, and it's just a really, really good read. I don't think my whole evaluation of it there is doing it any justice, because it is a really good read, as Hulk becomes this like leader, you know, and all the time Hulk just wants to be left alone, you know, all through the book. But I think the real strength here that Greg Pak does, because nothing in this story is like original, like the gladiator leading an uprising. We've seen that so many times, you know, go all the way back to the days of Spartacus. That's in our history. We've seen that. And the story of Hulk being put on an alien world has been done before. If you go back in the Hulk book to the early days of the Incredible Hulk, that's been done before. But what Greg Pak does really well here, and I think what's the strength of the book, is how much depth there is in this world, how all the characters have their histories. There's real depth to all the characters. You get the one character, Meek, for example, who is my favourite character in this book, and the journey his character goes on throughout this, and all we learn about him, is just extraordinary, you know. And even if you don't like the Hulk, this should still be a great book to read, because all those other characters are really fleshed out and really given depth. I enjoyed the art in this one as well. The artists, they get this kind of savage nobility about the Hulk that I really like, and the world is really nicely realised, and just a really great read. As always, our inside cover, we have some of the art from the book. We have our inside cover there. We then have all the people that will put the book together. An introduction, and then we have story so far, sort of telling you about the Illuminati and what they done on Hulk, and then we kickstart into our story. I'm trying to see, yeah, we get as always, you get your cover art, but this time they've kind of done some of the variant art as well, which is cool. The art all through this book is good. The covers look good as well. The story moves brilliantly along. It's just really greatly done, and the characters are fantastically realised, and there's so much depth here. At the end we have an article on the writer. Greg Pak talks about how he come up with this story put together. We've then got the world of Shakaar, where we get in all really about the world, a lot more depth, and about the different species on this planet, and really gives the world depth. And then we get Hulk's Warbound, you know, the main characters in the book, and of course we get our further reading at the back. This is part one, so it left me really, but even though I know how it ends, really want to see issue 2, part 2 of this. This was just a fantastic book. Really recommend, even if you're not collecting this collection, this is still one book, hunt down, get it, it will be worth it. This is, for me, definitely one of the best comic books ever done, and I give this book a definite 5 stars. So last up we have The Punisher, Welcome Back Frank, Part 1. This was released as issue 24. When you put it into your collection, it will be number 18. As always, we have a little bit on the back. The Punisher is a character I don't really know much about. I read him for the first time last year, Greg Rucka's run on the book, and I must admit I really enjoyed that book. I think I read it from about halfway through. I loved his portrayal of the Punisher. Went out, watched some of the movies, and you know, and it was a character I wanted to know more about. So I was pleased that Marvel put this as on one of their Ultimate Graphic Novel collections, and I was looking forward to reading it. When I received the book, I looked at the creative team. We have got Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon. Garth Ennis, I thought, yeah, he's a fit for the Punisher. Every book I've ever read of his has been pretty violent, and the Punisher, pretty violent character, so I thought that was a good fit. The other choice worried me, Steve Dillon. I don't know much about the guy. All I've seen him in is he did an issue of Incredible Hulk with Jason Aaron, and he did Thunderbolts. Those are the only two books I know him from, and I did not like his art in those books. I didn't like it at all, and so I thought, oh, okay, why of all the Punisher books they could have published, they have to publish one with his art? I was like, oh. Anyway, getting to the story, Frank has been away. He's been on shenanigans somewhere else, and he's returned to New York. And so he targets this mafia family. He's going to take them out. They, to try and get themselves, they put pressure on the police with their contacts and blackmail that, and you know, they want Frank arrested. The police chief knows none of his officers are going to go for this case, so he puts his worst officer on the case. Meanwhile, Punisher continues taking out this mafia family. They bring in assassins, he takes them out, and but then it sort of just keeps escalating. As the story goes on, we get these other vigilantes start popping up, seeing what Punisher's doing. They pop up. We get the Holy, we get Mr. Payback, and we get Elite. And each of them have their own motivations, but they're going along the same violent vein as our main protagonist, the Punisher. All in all, I really enjoyed this book. It sets events up well. I found there were shades of the first Punisher movie. Well, it was, if you count Dolph Lundgren's movie, it was the second Punisher movie. But the Punisher movie with Tom Jane, because in that he's living in like this like hotel, and it had a very similar vibe here with the hotel and how he gets to know everybody who sort of lives in the hotel. So this did have a vibe from the film, and I probably think they probably took it from this. It was also interesting. You had 3 threads of story, and two of them were starting to come together. The one with the police officer trying to solve the case and catch Punisher, and the Punisher's story. They seem to be near the end coming together a bit. I don't know where the Vigilante story is going to go, but I'm pretty intrigued to find out. The biggest surprise about this book was the art. I went in expecting to hate it, and I ended up really loving it. Steve Dillon does a bang-up job with this one. The best I've ever seen his art. Look, like I say, I don't know much about Steve Dillon, but I certainly, if his art was up to this caliber, I certainly wouldn't mind seeing more of his art. And I don't know, maybe he just doesn't suit the more superpowered superheroes, you know, like the Hulk and Red Hulk. Maybe it's heroes like that don't suit him. Maybe he needs those more realistic superheroes like the Punisher. I don't know, but his art here is really great, and I ended up just really loving the book. As always, you have your internal art there. We then have our inner cover, you know, our inner sleeves there, and our next page, which goes through everybody who worked on this book. We then have our story so far and our introduction. We then jump straight into the issue, no covers. It just goes straight into the story. Like I say there, you know, I was really surprised with the work Steve Dillon did on this book. Like I say, I went in expecting to hate it, but I ended up really enjoying it. Oh no, that might spoil it. There, another picture of the Punisher. So all in all, it was a really good issue, a really good book, one that I really ended up really enjoying. At the back, as always, we have our origins, which this one looks at the history of the Punisher and his origins. We also have an artist's gallery. We got a gallery with all the different covers that they did for those first issues of this book, as well as an artist's gallery of all the different interpretations of the Punisher. And at the back we've got our further reading, and there's certainly a couple of Punisher books there I wouldn't mind checking out. It also confirms there that we've got like Punisher part 2 of this story. We've also got the Ghost Rider Road to Damnation story coming up as well in the future as part of this collection. So yeah, like I say, I really enjoyed this one. Was really surprised how much I enjoyed it. It was a really good read. Yeah, if you don't like your heroes too violent, Punisher may not be the character for you. But if you do, it was a really enjoyable read, and another one that really took me by surprise. And I give Punisher, welcome back Frank, 5 stars.